What's happening, people? Welcome back to the podcast. We're back with Dale and James. We're doing another episode on, is it how to be a good personal trainer?
Is it just how to be us three as personal trainers? We are the
how to be the best fitness coach you possibly can be.
That's a good one. There we go.
I'm usually the one talking shite and you're straight in.
That's him kicked off, man.
The shite chat. It's not usually you. You're usually the last person that is like, fuck, you two are weird. But anyway, in this episode, we were diving into like how to actually structure a free session. We ended up speaking most of the time about that, but we gave nuanced advice that we personally have never seen really anyone do in like public gyms. There's obviously great coaches out there, but the way that we structure things so that you can give people value that they just aren't going to get by walking up to a random PT in a gym, they're going to get the standard structure to a session. We are going to give you the structure so you can show people how you're going to get them to move better, to squat better, to deadlift better, to get better mobility in your ankles and your hips, and seeing what the common problems that people face are and how you can show them how you can help them fix those problems, which is stuff people don't do. So yeah, we gave you like proper advice on how to do that.
Advice, yep.
Then we touched on online versus in person and price points and like models you can use for pricing as well. That was pretty much it, wasn't it?
It was good chat. Good chat. So you'll definitely be a better PT by the end of this, or have more inspiration.
Especially with the first session. If MD's listening,
if you can nail that first session, we were speaking about it the last time, but this time we proper dived into like what is the session about, and if you can just keep doing it with what we were talking about and getting better and better and better, like we said in
your gym.
And it's not that hard to sell. You'll get better at selling because your session will get better as well.
Confident.
So enjoy the show. Just rate the bloody podcast on Spotify. That's terrible, James. That's awful. Right, enjoy the show.
Just because I didn't get my heating fixed, and then like my house is cold as fuck, so I've not been doing a couple of things because like I've just have my kitchen and my living room's nice, and I've just like pretended nothing else matters because it's fucking freezing, and it's because I don't know why I'm scared to mess with my landlord in case I kicked it. Well, I do know why now because I went there the other day. Because when I get kicked out years ago, I just get scared to message my landlord.
You get kicked out house? I bet your mum, isn't it?
No, I left my mum's, but I get kicked out my dad's.
I mean, you've never been kicked out by a landlord, have you?
No, I'm not. But
it's the fear of getting kicked out.
It's just the fear of getting kicked out. I just don't like messing.
Alright.
But then my dad was like, "Have you been living like this for a month and a half?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Right, I don't want you living like this anymore." I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "You need to ask for help." I was like,
mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
Pure fucking jail cell, isn't it?
But I said to him, I was like, "Look, mate," I said, "See, the last 3 months, I was just making sure I had to make money. I had to put effort into getting clients."
Aye.
I says, if I had to take on like 7 clients last week, I had to do it because I had to look at my bank account and be all right. I says, I'm at that point now. And he's like, "Right, that's cool. I get that, but we need to fix this."
Let's get you a bed.
You can't sleep on the floor, James.
Did you get a bed?
I did get a bed, but he's like, "I'm not building the bed until you fix everything else."
Right.
What else is broke?
No, so he just wants me to clear the full house. So he was like, you don't wear that, come on, like get off.
Your dad is
Oh, yeah. This is where the Holland jumper came from.
That's all that's left, Gavin.
I was like, "Dad,
I still wear this, see? I wore it on that podcast.
James basically wore a Holland jumper that was one of the worst pieces of garment I've ever seen in my life. Don't even look me up and down right now and try slag any.
No, I wasn't going to
slag these shoes.
I was going to explain the situation. So I don't have heating, so my clothes don't dry at a quick rate. And my dad was like, and he felt the sock, and he was like, right, actually, get it. Like, is this still fucking wet? And I was like,
is that why you're in here a lot more?
What?
Is that why you're in here a lot more?
Probably.
I did have 2 pairs of boxers.
I know, I was like, Gavin, is this your briefs? He's like, I left them there on Monday. It's 1st of January.
See, because
get it fixed this week.
Because I go between my dad's and Aoife's so much, I don't know where my boxers are half the time, so Sometimes they're at Aoife's and sometimes they're at my dad's. So
How many
I'm like,
boxers you
I
got?
was going to say, is it just the one pair that
no, I've got loads. No, I've got loads, but the problem is whenever I go to one place, I bring all of them. So then when I go to another one,
Is that weird? Do you do that as well when you're packing for something? You're like, right, I'm away for 2 days.
I mean, I bring
I'm
about
like,
10 boxers.
In case I shit myself every hour. just,
Every day.
just in case I shit myself.
Yeah,
every
But you take one t-shirt, but 5 pairs of
know,
boxers.
I've got about 8 precautionary pairs of boxers everywhere I go.
It's mad. Guys,
I've always got a fear in my head that I'm going to piss myself or something. I don't know.
there's girl math, that's guy math.
Aye.
Like, guy math. So I went and done the NC 500 and we were away for 7 days and I had 14 pairs of boxers with me and I took...
I think that.
No, that's not
fair.
enough.
No, I know that was right in the bin, right?
Aye,
But
aye,
I took 2 t-shirts. No, sorry, I took these shorts, another pair of shorts, and that was it. And a couple of t-shirts. And I was like, I've really not packed. I've packed enough socks, packed enough boxers, but I'll be able to survive with the
Aye.
same pair of shorts.
I just
When-
keep changing
When
them.
do you pack, right? Because like if I will pack, like honestly, like start packing like 3 days before, I'm like an hour before I'm about to go.
Because
I
you
used
don't
to
know.
I used to be like that until I would forget things. I go, right, I actually want to take things I want to take.
What's
I know,
the
but I've done it
earliest
that
I've
many
packed?
times that I don't really. There's nothing to really forget.
Nah, I'm a last minute kind of guy.
I just
And it's
we're
pure
all
panic.
last-
It's pure panic mode. Just
No,
chucking
no,
stuff
no.
in.
Yous are more last minute than me. I figured that out yesterday
Aye.
watching yous do your fucking tax returns. That was fucking terrifying. Him going, I don't know what my email address is for this. That was giving me. I thought I was bad, and then I seen that, and I was like, nah, that's all right.
It's done now. That's all that matters. So
Aye.
get done.
100% correct.
Aye, absolutely no faults, no knockbacks.
The calculations were done. Spot on.
I took out the books. I went through everything.
People were reaching out to Gavin going, no, heard for Dale on your podcast in a while. He's in jail. He's committed fraud. No, I actually submitted what the records had said, right? So actually makes me feel a wee bit more better.
As
I
the
was
sweat
thinking-
drips down your face.
Aye, aye. Waiting for days,
So me
mate.
and James were sitting arguing about like what the box had said, because obviously it's the tax year the year before, like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
2022 to 2023.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's this to this. And I was like, no, it's that to that. Like dyslexia was coming in, ADHD was mixed
Aye,
into
aye.
the
I
conversation.
think it was just pure stress.
And then stress on top of that. But
Well, I did. I walked in for 3 settings, seen you both doing your tax returns, and just walked straight out.
not an energy.
I actually
I'm
just
bringing it to
no.
2024.
Fuck this.
I got overwhelmed instantly. I could feel it in the room. The tension was running high, and I just went, "No, not today." I'm
Where's my
out.
receipts?
I've also realised, like, I've been using my business card to like buy the shop and that, because I can put it through as personal expenses.
Yeah.
But I actually need to go through every single one now
Aye.
for the past year and write personal expenses, and that's going to be a bollock.
Yeah.
Why not just get an accountant for that?
Because, like, see, when I actually figured out how to use the app yesterday, I was like, this would have took me 5 minutes if I knew I was done.
No, I'm getting an account.
What's the app again? The booksy
Just
thing?
Tide, mate, but you can just, you
There's
categorise
a few of
everything.
the one there.
Aye, there's a few, but it's
It's
actually quite,
bank
it's
account.
actually quite a good thing. PTs, right? Tide bank account, you can categorise everything, so you can categorise your expenses and your incomes, and you can actually categorise your incomes to what they are. So if you've got 2 incomes, you can put them in. If you've got staff costs, if you've got everything, you can categorise it all, and then it gives you a sheet at the end of the year, 12 months. It tells you your total income, and it tells you your total expenses, and then you can actually put that in your books properly, like just straight up.
Right, before we get into this, I want to touch on the fact that since the last podcast, me and how I've been bowling.
Oh,
You've been bowling as well?
have you?
I told you this, though.
Did you?
Spanked you.
Oh, you did, yeah, you did. Get it up.
Oh, got her back.
Did you hear the story of him bowling though?
I heard a wee bit of it.
Aye.
You did tell me, didn't you?
I think I did. It was. I think I've still got the text. It's just funny. So was it on this podcast you told?
But how was our bowl?
Was her bowls good? She was actually alright bowling, I'll give her a zero. I was shocked.
But
I was like, barriers up or
Were
down?
you satisfied with the bowl itself?
Aye, the ball itself was good. Aye. But she was actually quite good at bowling. I was like, oh man. She was hitting most of them. I was like, see, even with the barriers done. Because I was like,
Oh, do you let them have the barriers?
No, he put the barriers down, which I thought I was like, I would never do that.
Nah, barriers have to be down. Every
Really?
time Aoife's went in the gutter, I was like, fucking up.
mate, it's embarrassing if you have to put them up.
How?
Because they're no
Drawn a-
12.
But how can you do trick shots where it goes ding 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 bing?
Ah, is that
That's
what you do?
not-
That's what I do.
That's
Oh
not a
my-
trick shot.
It is a trick shot.
That's embarrassing. That's
I
what
don't
that
need
is.
them, but I like using them because I go, right, see that one on the right? I had it off the left, so it hits the right, so I'm like pure cocky with it.
That's not
Nah,
being
me.
cocky.
That's embarrassing.
No, I'm meaning.
That is the ick, innit?
I'm meaning
That
to.
is the ick.
I'm meaning to hit
I
it,
put up the bowling barrier so I can do trick shots.
and then I use the wee wheelie thing to like aim it.
No, I'm kidding on, man.
Right, that was funny because James texted me and said, "Mate, I've just bowled the best I ever have in my life. You get like 3 strikes in a row."
No, it was got 150, scalped to the bowling. Who's the daddy?
So it was actually so it was.
Is that what you said to her?
No, I said that to him.
Text me.
You
That. I was
didn't
like,
say who's the
You
daddy.
see, the thing is, right? So I got 2 spares, the first 2 shots, and then I was walking back, and she was like, "You've done this before," and then everything, like, see what we've been talking about on the podcast.
You're like,
And
"Is she listened?"
She came to me, man. I was like, that's what I was like. Has she listened? I'm like, so I was heavy stressed, and then I was like, the walk back for bowling, is it a nick? You know that way?
He said,
Because I got a strike and I went like that, turned around, I walked back to my seat with a smile. Because she was like, "You're all proud of yourself." I was like, "No, I'm not."
I've got the text here. We were talking about something to do with the podcast, and then 4 hours later, he texts me 150 at bowling. Who's the daddy? And I'm like, "Was that a good date then?" He goes, "Ah, it was good."
You gonna meet her again?
I did.
You did, right?
I did. But then I was like, I actually probably need to fix up. Like, there's a couple of things in my life that I'm not fixing, so I need to fix them first.
Hold on, let me get the heating sorted, and there might be a third date.
That might be. I need to be able to.
Dude, my dad's just about to get me a bed.
He's just about to build it.
In the meantime, we could go bowling.
Go bowling again. See if you get any better.
I didn't realise your house was like that.
Yeah, I've been slumming it for the last couple of months.
Slumming it sounds like you don't have your own house. You were slumming it in your own house.
I know I was slumming it, but the focus was on other places. And I'm actually.
But if you kept that quiet, were you embarrassed about it?
Aye.
Aye. Fair.
Aye.
No, you told me that you put your mattress in your living room one time and that, and I was
I
like,
did.
"Fair."
Aye. I did.
Oh, have you been sleeping in the living room then?
I was at one point. Aye. Mate, I've slummed it. Like, people are like, "Oh, I'm fucking this and that." I was like, "No."
Who are like, you're this and that. James Mckinney, I think he's moved to Bears Den.
I've got a bed. A fucking bed.
Listen, the people who are all thought I was fucking minted.
I know. People do, but look, I was sitting like last night and I was like, after my dad sit down conversation, he's like, "I don't want you to live like this." I was like, "Cool, get it." I was like, "I've actually been done well the last couple of months and I'm going to do well." I was like, "Look, I'm actually kind of glad that I slummed it because I didn't need to spend any money. Now I can buy new clothes, new towels, new bed, new Hoover. My Hoover broke over the weekend as well. That was the tipping point."
There's not much to tip you sometimes.
No, that was the tipping point. No,
Aye.
I was already feeling quite bad, and I got up on Sunday, and I was like, "Right, I'm going to Hoover everywhere," and it just cut out. I was like, "Right, I'll charge it," and then it just cut out again. I was like, "It's broke."
What? Why have you been feeling bad? In general, because you said last week as well.
Because I just don't know, mate. Sometimes I just can't do simple things. I can do the pure hard things, but I can't do simple things.
Like what?
Like phone my landlord, say my heating's broke, can you fix it? Genuinely.
Just because you overthink it?
Mm-hmm. And then that leads to a lot of other things.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And you reckon that's the DHD?
Aye. That is.
Right.
There's like levels, and then you go, that is that. Do you know what I mean? But then I had a chat with my dad last night. My dad's usually like pure hard on me, and he was like, "Look, you just need to ask for help if you need it." And I was like, "Cool. Go and buy me towels, boxers, and some stuff for the bathroom, and some bedding."
The Hoover.
Aye.
It
Here's
is
the cash.
hard navigating those conversations with dads, though, sometimes. I've had
Mate,
to...
that's so
I
difficult.
was talking about this in the last podcast, and I said it to you the other day. I bullied my dad into understanding mental health.
Right.
Like, I actually bullied him into getting it. Like, I waited until when I was moving to Australia, you get really anxious.
You did?
Yeah, and he didn't really know what was happening to him, and he was really stressed. And it, like, I'd suffered with anxiety for like the year before, and I'd got out the other end of it, but I just went like, "See everything you're feeling. Remember when I had anxiety, and you were telling me that I just need to like do stuff to go over it? You've got it right now." Do you know what I mean? Just
I'd loosely no use the term bullying because when you told me that, I pictured you going, "Oh, you feeling anxious?" and then start poking his belly.
Pussy, bitch. Pussy.
Shite
no, but
bag.
I did basically point it out straight in front of his face, and I was like, "What are you feeling?" And he was like, "I can't sleep. My thoughts are all erratic." And I was like, "Okay, I had that for a full year,
Yeah.
and you you didn't help me at all. Well, he helped me. He did help me. He helped me in the way that he thought he was helping, but
I don't think they can. Like,
I was going to say, I don't.
no, he's good with it now.
Aye.
No, he is. But I mean, I bullied him, and I've like almost gave him like the skills. So as in,
Be
like,
nice to me.
no, I've told him how. I'm like, see if I do ever go through stuff like that again, and I just start ranting about stuff, I don't need any advice. I actually just need you to be there. I like, see, every time you're about to give me advice, it's always terrible. So don't just listen. just shut up. And
No, but that's what dads are like. Like, see, when I went in, my dad was like, what the fuck's happening?
Aye, that's the worst, isn't it?
But then I would usually go, who the fuck are you talking to, you fucking cunt? But I was like, right, hold back. And because I held back, he actually said what he wanted to say.
Recognised.
So he was going on the attack, and I was usually going to attack, because that's how the conversation was usually go. And I was like, look, you're right. I was like, I've been kind of struggling in here. I was like, I've been focusing on other things. And he's like, right. He's like, but what the fuck's this? What the fuck's that? And I was just letting him go through it.
You swear one more time, I'm gonna knock you out.
I was like, he's testing me. But I was like, look, I'm a new man. And he kept going, and he's like, look, I just don't want you to live like this. And he's like, you shouldn't be living like this. I was like, you're right. And he was like, cool. And he's like, here's how we fix it. I was like, cool. And he's like, I'll help you. He's like, you should have asked for help. He's like, there's no way. And I was like, you wouldn't have usually said that. That's probably because I go, who the fuck are you talking to? I was usually go, you brought me up this, eh? You brought me up this. You kicked me out, you cunt. Nah, I genuinely usually go in the attack and go, you fucking kicked me out. What the fuck do you expect that? But I was like, there's no point living like that anymore. I'm just trying to fix problems.
Yeah. Good sign of growth.
It is difficult navigating those ones. It's every time my car breaks, my dad's actually brutal. Why have you not checked the water?
No, that's what they do. Why have you not done this? Why? Because I haven't, mate.
It's as if he prevents anything bad ever happening in his life before it happens.
Aye.
You just wait for the moment that something does and go, why didn't you
do that?
Do that.
Aye.
Why did it take you 23 years to divorce my mum and dad?
I've said
I know I have as well. Like, see if when he's gave me relationship advice, he'll go, how did you not see that red flag? My mother. How did you not see that one coming? She's clinically insane.
I done the exact same thing. He was like, why did you not split up with her earlier? I was like, you had me. I mean, and my sister.
That's the best one, because he actually just
goes, the ultimate trump card.
I hear that.
Right, because he just goes, fair point.
Touche.
Right, anyway, let's get into this. So the last time we were listening back on the podcast at 4 times speed, well, Dale was, because I just don't even take anything in. And we spoke about sort of being confident by just getting good at your job, and then that makes you good at sales without actually having, not good at sales, but it gives you that confidence of actually like selling your service without having to be like using all these sleazy tactics.
That's one of the worst mistakes you can actually make, because you think you're going to sound smart, you think you need to impress, but see, realistically, when you start speaking about the rhomboids and the bicep femoris and all this shit, it's like
you just put people off.
They're not interested. You want to break it down, make it as simple as possible to understand and connect to real people.
I don't think I've ever used like a muscle term that's not just like quads, biceps, or whatever. I've never even said quadriceps, because I think even that would throw people. Like, what are you on about?
I think there's levels to it. Then there's like, some PTs are like very scientific, and if that's your niche, then all power to you. But most of us are getting into this, and we're starting to find out who is it we want to train. And I think if you think that's the people you want to train at the start, you're kind of narrowing down too quickly.
Very hard.
My biggest weakness is anatomy anyway. Like, I wouldn't even. There's
fucking solid.
That's your leg, mate.
Biomechanics is interesting to me, but see the thought to try to go through a course to.
That's what I would like to do.
It's like, I like movement patterns. I like understanding, right?
I would know more about movement patterns than
because of my left calf. Like, everything is all connected. That does fascinate me a wee bit, but
at
the start, don't overcomplicate that shit. Get exposed to people.
Anyway, and the next one was what gym to work in. So we discussed like the different options you have, and then we were talking about how to get free sessions. And we said that we would talk about how to structure the free sessions. Then we're going to go into like online versus in-person, software that you can use, and stuff that's going to make your job easier, because all of this is obviously we're talking about getting good at your job, but there is software that you can use even if you were to do, as we suggested, we go in person first or primarily in person first. There's loads of online software to make your in person better that you can be using from the start.
Huge.
You don't have to be fully in person, and you can only ever use in person, like non-online software.
It's pretty inexpensive as well. I think anytime I was looking for software from day one. I knew it would be a big benefit for sets, like just structuring, like saving someone's data, even if you only have 2 clients. And I remember actually pitching it to some of the people in Gym 24 at the start, and they were like, "Oh man, 20 quid a month," and I was like, "Aye, but that's like, what is it, 15 spaces, 10 spaces?" Doing the math in the clients, I was like, that's a very inexpensive tool to make your life a lot easier.
I never had any like doubts in spending 20 quid because I always seen it as any time I can save. If I'm self-employed, if it's not ridiculously expensive, any time you can save makes you more money.
But I think that to actually realise, like, people probably listen to this, if you're starting out, you're really worried about, I don't know when my next client's going to be, so why would I commit to spending X amount a month? I know that's the probably toing and throwing, but recognise that this software is going to allow you to look more professional, charge a quote-unquote premium, or feel confident charging a certain amount, because it kind of adds into the service instead of like a standard Google Sheet or whatever. Excel.
Right, let's not jump straight into that, right? So free sessions, we were talking about how to structure them. So we went through your like ad, did we? How you got 4 weeks, how you present 4 weeks of coaching to people?
Yeah.
So like you do an ad online that's on Facebook that's basically just promoting that you do free sessions from JD. I just throw it up in my story sometimes that I'm doing free sessions. I had an email list and I just sent out that I'll do free sessions. You done like an actual competition for free sessions, didn't you? Like free coaching for a year. So that's 3 different like strategies. You can also, I say to people, like in that last gym I was working in, because the gym itself was dead and there was no members, like Cuba, who ended up quitting. I was like, mate, there was a housing estate like yours, but 10 times the size right next to it. So like, I mean, one of the biggest new build housing estates I've ever seen. Loads of them were flats, and he was like, I can't get people to come in online. And I'm like, just go around and. Like, if I was struggling, I would have just went round and just asked all of them if they wanted a in-person set, like a free in-person session. So you could do it like that as well. It doesn't have to be online.
Another thing is, if you've simply got Instagram or a phone, just go through every single contact and every single Instagram page you've got and just message them. If you've got a couple of clients, you've got all the time in the world. You'll also get rejected like fuck. I never done that, but you know what? See, if I look back, probably something I would have done if I had a little bit more confidence back then. If somebody just said to me, here, see everybody you've got in your personal account, message every one of them, because if you want to do this,
even if it's your friend, like,
if you want to do this for the rest of your life, who cares what people think of you?
No, but it's like say it's 4 your best mates. Mm-hmm. If anything, that would be a good way to build confidence. You go to 4 your best mates here. Can I do an in-person session with all yous, and I don't need you as a client? Aye. Then it gets you better at the free sessions. Mm-hmm. But like you said, with not having confidence, the hardest thing to drill into someone is like, that'll get you confidence. So
I know.
It's like 100%. Doing stuff like that is like the only way that you're really going to get confidence as a coach. It's like time under tension, isn't it? Aye. But anyway, structuring it. Do you want to go first? How you structure yours now?
Yeah.
And I'll say how I structure me.
I was thinking about, like, see when you're saying about the ad stuff, only because Jill's also learning a lot about Facebook ads and that. I would actually hold off as that last option, because that workshop she done last night was. It was mad that you don't want to just jump into running an ad. There's actually different levels to training the Facebook algorithm of who you are and all that sort of stuff. But it raises a really good point of like, how do you, when you're getting your first person, you need to build trust, and then you need to build, like, people don't know who you are. So it's, but how do you build trust with someone and confidence? You're not going to do that by asking for money right on that first interaction. So it's like maybe like a feel good post of, here, it could be, I'm a new PT. I'm looking for a couple of people to train for free to refine my skills. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start with mobility, or I'm going to start with whatever it is that you want to break down. If you're interested, let me know. It could be something as simple.
By the way, how many times have you had a PT come to your door and ask you if you want to do a free session with them, and be like, strictly no strings attached, I'm not even going to do anything? I've never had it. I think it would be, how many people have wanted to try PT and just have
never know. would never
they've
know.
got the perception that it's going to be wild, too expensive for them. It's not right for them. They're not the type of person that goes to the gym. People would definitely, like, you've done it flying, haven't you?
Done flyer and I done. I just done asked if I could run a class in a gym as well. That was for the style that in my training, and then just kind of like engaging with conversation as we were saying last time, but sitting at the front desk and speaking to people, but no with the intent of trying to get them as a client. Just here, you're in the gym, you're working on yourself. Class to see you here again, and just keep reinforcing that. So structuring a free session, I think this is where. Honestly, I think if you do it from an assessment type of thing, like where you're assessing movement and then you're getting to, like within that same session, if you assess movement, how they move just now, to doing a bit of different drills, different exercises, and comparing the start to the end, that's the best way of doing a free session, because you show your value, you build your trust, you show your worth, and you actually show that there's PT and isn't just about getting the muscles sore or all that sort of thing. I think MD can do that, but for me, that's never been my style. I don't think it would be for a majority of people listening to this. You want to help people long term, so I would look at the main movement patterns. So I'd look at the main joints.
This is interesting, by the way, because I don't think we've ever pulled our free sessions from ever watched each other do it, and it's so similar.
So it has to
without us even like I don't even
simplistic.
think about like, oh, I need to do a movement assessment. Bam. Do you get what I mean? So we've ended up doing it so similar.
Aye, and you think about it, like what's the alternative? Do you want to train back? Like, cool, let's train back.
So shit.
Like, what value are you giving other than counting reps, sets, and maybe doing exercise demonstrations? Like, you as a coach, yes, there's different levels to it. So your accountability and all that sort of stuff, but you're not getting any of that out in a back training session. Whereas if you make it specific,
you're literally just putting your finger and getting
pull your
people
elbows in,
pull your elbow with my finger.
feel that there, and
1, 2, 3, straight.
and then the more confident you get, I'm confident I can do any sort of session with someone and get them to see some sort of value in it, but that's just confidence in your craft over time. So I could do a back session, go like, here's why we're training back, because our posture's forward all the time, we want to strengthen our muscles. You pick up on all those cues the more people that you go through. So assessment wise, I would keep it very simple. Everyone stands up off the couch, and everyone's always dealing with some sort of hip tightness or lower back strain, pain, whatever you want to call it. So giving relief around your hamstrings, around their bum, their lower backs, movements that create flexibility and stability in those movements is always my go-to. Shoulders is another good one. You can also do all three, but what I remember when I tried to do all three with the very first person I took,
Too long.
panicked. I panicked. I was talking. You also ramble like fuck on your first one, and you're like, man, I'm overwhelming this cunt with too much information. He's like, alright, cool.
Back, shoulders.
He walked into the gym thinking, I'm not too bad, and left going, I'm fucked. I can't do anything. So I try and keep the session simple, try and keep the assessment simple, probably work on 1 or 2 joints, so either shoulders, lower back, ankles is usually the 3 main ones that I'll look at. Testing wise, first you can look up tons of movement tests. I like a squat test, and I always film it from the side, and I can see if somebody's leans over too much, if someone stays upright. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I have no idea if I'd be confident to do that, look up like squat assessments, how to get better at squats. Look at, like, train yourself on different coaching cues from everything that's there on the internet and apply it to your first
even
test
like
subject.
so even if you can get, so I've never YouTube things like that, like as in a squat assessment, but I'd get everyone just to sit in a squat and just see if they can do it, and I'm watching that straight away, and then from there, if they can't do it, I'm straight away talking about, right, this is the protocol for you to be able to sit in a squat. And that would be something, if you come on with me or not, over the next 12 weeks, I'd be expecting you to do a pretty good goblet squat by doing X, Y, and Z, and then I'll show them that. So I also treat my free sessions as like, I'll do the free session, but I'm always speaking about what they can, I'm giving them stuff they can go away to do as well if they've done it on their own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Or I also talk about, if you were with me, this is what we would do.
So you should always be talking to them. Like, it's hard to do in your very first one, but if you've done 5, 6, or 7, you can make estimates of, like, if somebody's hips tight and they've got shit ankle mobility and they can't really squat, then most likely you can draw a conclusion and go, you probably deal with a wee bit of lower back tightness. And they're like, fucking hell, how do you know that? So I can see your movement. Do you know? But that happens because of, if you're sitting, I take it you work behind a desk all day. How the fuck did you know that? You're like, right, cool. You're like a guru to them. You're like, this guy is a genius.
Yeah. To be fair, you could always just go that. Sit down job, is it? And just without even looking at them. And it's always a good banker because most people.
You look me up.
Most people do. But it's like, oh my God, you know, how do you know?
But you start, like, this is why if you're doing an assessment with every single person that you have an interaction with, you do get good at building up this bank of history of going, that is a common problem with these types of people, and there's nothing more powerful than that. So I know, like, if I video someone from side on as well, which is another good tool, like I might not know the very first time if this is my first client here, and I pause his squat video at the bottom and I see his heels coming up, and I'm like, why is his heels coming up? You just do a wee search, heels coming up in a squat, start educating. That's how you properly learn the craft of becoming a really good trainer. But yeah, if you're constantly speaking to them throughout that, like, you're just reinforcing your value to that client. You're reinforcing, like, man, this guy's good. And it might be about weight loss, fat loss, muscle gain, whatever it is. But if you start going, like, can you see how if we relieve tension and the chronic pain that you're dealing with, that you could move better? And if you move better, you're going to feel stronger. And if you feel stronger, then we can do all these other movements. It's going to aid with your fat loss and that sort of stuff. So I think, to me, that's the importance of your first session and how
you learn. I think that's one of the, because I always said I learn so much more just by doing one-off sessions with people than I do working with people constantly. So, like, you'll learn loads in the first 4 weeks of working with someone, then the longer you work with that person, the less and less you learn. Do you get what I mean?
So I might actually go into that in the strategy.
So even though there's no, like, it's not a business strategy to do just keep working with people one-off, you would never want to be the guy that just does one-off sessions with people. But if you've done, like, three sessions a week, that's so much you can learn doing that. Do you know what I mean? It's like my clients that I had for like 3 months, I would be teaching them 1 or 2 new movements every program. But after the 3 months, and I'm like, and I'm not getting anything out of this, and neither are they. They are now just really attached to me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I know, absolutely. And in that session as well, you really need to be careful that you don't fall into the trap of, because old me was always like, or early days in my training, I always like, oh, how's your day going? And you end up talking about stuff that's not really about the training session. And there's a fine balance in doing that. But the later the stronger that relationship gets with that client, the harder it is to actually train them on. It becomes a waste of your time. You are taking money for being a buddy at that point. Like, you might still be giving value, but the value for you as a trainer, they're paying you to go, here, I want to know what I'm doing in the gym. And if we'll talk about strategies and how to phase that off, and when we talk about the online part, but just be wary of that. Like, give your value, but also be a person as well. Like, how's your day going? Can I let that open up the conversation?
I think things I want to touch on with how to structure, because I'm very similar to you. So, but my niche is like complete beginners, right? So way different to James is trying to work with people that are maybe doing CrossFit, and you get more out of like maybe a more detailed workout program, whereas I've more designed it to suit a niche that I like working with, and it's more complete beginners. But I'll also get people that have been lifting for like a year and a half, and then those type of people, they won't get as much out of like me going through I'll mostly go through a squat, a lunge, and a Romanian deadlift, and then if I've got time, I'll maybe get them to just do like a chest press or a shoulder press more so, because most of the time people push in front of them, so I'm assessing like their thoracic mobility, because they're the main things that come up, especially with beginners. But if someone's been lifting for a while, I might just do a movement assessment with them, and then do whatever and I actually ask them, what are you most uncomfortable with? The 2 main things that I will either learn how to back squat or deadlift, and I'll just do a back squat or deadlift workshop with them, because that can be a whole like 30-40 minutes, and that'll be the most that they'll get out of that. That's like 1 in 5 people I'll do that with. The beginner people, right, because you were talking about so common that people might squat down and their heels come up. I find when I've listened to PT podcasts about how to be a good PT, you say Mind Pump are quite good at giving advice on actual like exercises to do. I've found that how to be a personal trainer, they can, but they don't do it that much because it's a podcast and it's audio, so you don't see it, but we can still go through a few things, right? So say it's the ankle mobility and a squat and their heels are coming up. A quick thing you can do as an assessment, you can YouTube this, is you can get people to stand close to a wall with their 2 feet in the exact same position. You can get them to push their knee over their toe and see if they can hit the wall, and then just get 1 foot to move back at a time, and then you can see which one.
A wall test.
A wall test, whatever it's going to be called, like a wall knee test or something. I've never YouTube what these are. My physio done it with me, and I just went, that's great.
Squat University's got a good video on it.
They'll have loads of good stuff on ankle mobility, so then you can see which. And these are things that you can do that will take you apart from every other PT. There's no PT in your gym probably doing this with people and going, here, your left foot, left ankle mobility is way worse than your right. So we're going to do this exercise where you push your knee over your toe on a bench, or you sit down, or you like kneel down and do it. Spend more time on the left because your left is worse than the right, and then that will help you speed up your mobility in your left ankle.
He's explaining why to them. It's like
nobody will do that in your gym. Like.
Well, that's what, like, if you look. So I've been in a public gym for the last couple of weeks, and I'm kind of looking at, I see a couple, I can tell some of them are inductions, some of them are actual PTs, but see the standard warm-up procedure that PTs have fell into the trap of doing, it's lazy.
5 minutes on the treadmill.
So fucking lazy, isn't it? And look, I'm saying this, done it as well. Yeah,
but it isn't, it's 5 minutes on the treadmill.
Go on the exercise bike or for 5 minutes, I'll be away in 5 minutes, and then we'll get into it. So if you can give value with mobility drills, like we've all experienced it, like, I used to be the guy that, all right, I'll row for 10 minutes before my workout. I actually found an old workout plan I wrote when I was in the corporate world, and it was one for Gillian, and I gave her a back day, arm day, all this sort of stuff.
Told me about this
but
before.
I made her do 10 minutes of rowing every second day for her warm-up, and then 10 minutes of Stairmaster every second day.
You've only changed that because I don't want her to do the roar every day in case she gets bored into it.
There's no logic behind it. And I was like, just right, okay, we need to get the heart rate up.
Oh, she's doing back. Roll.
Now there's something to be said about increasing your heart rate, but you can do that through mobilizing the joints and doing warm-up practice sets or whatever you want to call them. So all that stuff, it can get overwhelming, it can get complicated.
So see with mobility, like you start with mobility right in your free session, and I love to go, right, what's this client really wanting deep down, right? So with a lot of like girls starting, they've just went out like glutes, they want a bigger bum, and I'm like,
that
right,
booty.
They're like, so they're
and you go like that, can you just do a quick bowl for me?
Just imagine that's a striker. Walk up to him, walk back.
Just imagine you're not in the gym, we're going to take this
10-pin bowling.
Well, where the sled is, right, imagine there's some pins down there, and you just take a wee bowl and we'll assess.
I've got something funny for you, by the way. He's well like this one, but this is so when you're doing like the combat stretch and you're getting the knee over the toe, and I'm like, right, this is how far this knee's going over. Let's do the other one. So I go, right, that's a difference. I said, see if you don't continue to do this and you don't continue to work on that side, you're going to go to squat, right? And your squat's going to be a wee bit off. And then you could get injured, and it means you couldn't squat, it means you can't train legs. I mean, that means you won't build a bigger bum. That's how I explain it.
You tie it to their goal.
That's how I explain mobility to them, right? And whatever, so if a guy comes in and he's like, I want to build bigger upper body strength, and I'm like, right, that's cool. See, if you don't do your shoulder stuff, you're going to get a shoulder injury, you're not going to be able to train bench, you're not going to be able to get bigger arms, bigger chest. That's exactly how I'd explain it to them. So in the first session, I'm explaining, if you don't know how to do this, yeah, this might be a wee bit boring, you might be in a big public gym, you're like, I don't want to do this mobility stuff. You want to get through to your clients, this mobility stuff is going to really fucking help you. Some of my clients do it, some of my clients don't, I know that. Some of my clients say it's really fucking boring, and then that's when I have that conversation with them. Some of my clients are online fully. So that's the hard one, because I'm never in the gym with them, doing it with them and going through it and going, why that knee is this and this knee is that.
Also building connection to the muscle group as well. Mobility is an interesting one because we can all do it.
You can just float through.
You can just know.
It's because loads of people are like, why am I feeling this in my back? And it's because you don't have the hip ability to feel in your glutes. You don't actually.
Maybe, or you're not trying hard enough. Like you need to mentally think about, even if I'm doing something, I'm like,
do it with your glutes.
Tense them. But that mind muscle connection is so important, and that's why warm-up sets, when you look at the bodybuilding space, they'll hit chest flies before they hit a chest exercise to get blood into it. It's the same principles when you're looking at mobility. You're priming the joints to go, we're ready for this force, we're ready to prime these muscles. They're switched on and ready to go. But back to your point, not many PT, in fact I'm yet to see another PT in the gym that I don't know personally, they'll work on mobility before they go into
I've
their
never
exercises.
seen in public gyms people doing. I've never watched a PT doing a mobility assessment with anyone in a public gym. Obviously, there's class coaches out there, but most of them probably work in like private gyms or like
Yeah.
they've went to online. Like I just mean in public gyms, which most people that listen to this that are starting out are going to be starting in like public gyms like JD, Pure Gym, the gym and stuff.
But in fairness, you're taught to put people on a treadmill, get the heart rate up. You're taught to do some dynamic stretching, it's referred to as. You're taught to do like
that is in the fucking book.
the very basis. But
The
if you
book's
can,
a pile of shit.
if you can start going here, what have you done for your warm up before? And they're like, I'm going to treadmill. It's like, wow, good. I'm going to show you a different way of warm up. Personally, I think this is a fantastic way to help mobilize your body, get you stronger, and get you in the grooves. That sound good? Yep, cool. Right, let's try it out. And they're like, this is well better because people hate cardio. Right, that's what it is. It's low steady state cardio.
Yeah,
and like, okay, you work your wee hip joint when you could do your 90-90s and get the same out it.
It's boring. That's how you need to like go. This is why we're doing this. This is
and
it.
all
this is it.
Every single mobility exercise that you do, you're constantly able to see where they have
Flaws.
Yeah,
Because you're assessing, you're constantly assessing.
you could once you get so good at like a 10-15 minute mobility drill, you can watch the person whilst you do it with them, and you're just watching each hip. But you do hip 90-90s. When I'm doing them with them, I'm watching each hip go down. I'm starting to see, right, that one doesn't look, that one has got less mobility. Then we do another movement where you bring your knees and you just bring one knee up. Straight away I can see within one rep of the, after seeing one side, within one rep I can see.
And then again, that's when they think you're the master. And you're like, wow. And you're like, look back, this is how that is affecting you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can, they will actually go, wow. But then you go, look, this is my job, right? But you go, this is how it's actually affecting you. And if you keep this going, whatever age you are, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
And the more you do, you'll get better at like also. So I had like a van driver in, and I'm doing that with him. Like, right, do you pick up heavy stuff all day? And I'm like, right, the way you're like bending, etc. This is going to help you with your job as well. Like, you're going to be in less pain from your job by getting better at these movements, getting your hip mobility better, and you can tie it into their goals, but also their life and like what's important to them, that sort of thing.
And take comfort knowing every single person will be dealing with something. You might not have the answer in that session, but if you can talk of like, here, there's always exercises to get you more primed and into a better position. But if you want to kind of dumb the movement assessment down, press above head, squat, and video them from side on first, see what it does, then do exercises that help aid that joint, and then retest
and show them
every time. So I'll do a squat side on. It's like, right, how comfortable that feel? 1 to 10, 6, 7's the usual answer that people come back with. I then have a video of them side on doing 5 reps. We spend a bit of time with hip mobility exercises, ankle mobility exercises, upper back kind of spine rotation exercises, and then we redo it again. Every time, the second time they do it, it's more comfortable. Another trick is the plates under the heels, because straight away you can say to them, right, all we're doing there is not requiring too much mobility in your ankles and your hips. How does that feel? Oh, that one felt way more comfortable, right? How would you probably want to get to a place where you're able to squat without using the plates? That's what mobility does for you.
By the way, before we move on to online, best thing I've found for people that say they don't like mobility is to, especially in squatting, especially people that, because for me, beginners squatting, I don't give a fuck about what weight they're doing, because it's not about the weight, it's about them actually being able to squat. If they actually hate mobility, I frame it as a superset, and they do mobility in between the squats and just don't go anywhere near failure on the squats, and then they don't even really think about the fact they're doing mobility. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, what would you do in between these 3 or 4 sets of squats? Sit on my phone, right? You're going to sit in a squat. You're going to do knee over your toe on one side in between the sets.
That's also what we've got Laura doing. She just does one exercise at one point of the day, another exercise at another point of the day, she just splits it out. She's like, I fucking hate doing it at one time.
That's cool.
Because even if people just sat in a squat 3 times a day for a minute,
also
they would even if they just
better.
done that, they would
Better.
already be way better.
Like, so mobility wise as well, takes a long time to get into good position, but then see, once you've unlocked that new range of motion and you're feeling good in it, the stronger you get in the gym. You don't need to keep doing a bunch of different exercises. You can literally sit down in a deep squat for 10 seconds and boom, you've primed all the muscles because you've built this strength and connection to the area. But to round off the assessments, you retest, you show your value, and then it's then going, right, how did you find that? So I found that good, right? Makes sense that we probably continue working together, and then pitch your thing. Like you would generally pitch it like
£1,000.
pitch it. And this is the thing with like value and trainers and stuff like that. Like the three of us will have different price points. There'll be different price points out there. Nobody can tell you what to charge. It's what you feel comfortable and confident charging. Your first session, you're all over the place. You're like, I don't think MD's going to give me 20 quid for a session.
By the way, see if you felt uncomfortable about that. Like the free session was shit. It's a free session. You don't need that client. Just go, here, I'm on to the next one. I was that learning curve. It could be awful. Like, it's fine. That's fine.
But you might even get to the point at the end of it where you're like, you want to just assess, like, how did they find it? And they're like, yeah, that was good. Like, I'd really like more of this. They might just naturally come into the conversation.
By the way, sometimes you might go, they were a rocket.
I fucking hated that.
And I don't want to
go, I hated that, never mind, they hated
that. I don't want to train it. But by the way, I've had a few times.
So I'm on the other side of that. Me and James were having this conversation on the podcast, our podcast on Monday. And what was I asked you? I was like, what did I ask you again? It was like, do you
think you can help everybody?
Do you think you can help everybody? And obviously it's a different mindset to have, but I always try to feel like I do want to help as many people as I can. I'll never turn anyone away, and no matter how shite, how awkward, how weird the session is, my mindset is, look, I'm in this job because I want to help as many people as I can. I don't care how fucked up you are, how weird you might feel, like I'm going to match your energy. And I know you two are a wee bit different.
No, because I don't believe I can help as many people as possible if I've got one or two fucking absolute spuds doing my head in.
I like to think I've got more resilience to it. Used to are like,
your
patience is tested.
I say the same. I was like, I can't.
I can't help the rest of my clients if I've got one person that's just that is refusing to be helped as well.
But here's one massive thing that I would say that came off the back of that podcast. Somebody comes into you, right?
Like I do have way more. I do have way more than most people. Like I'll take on a lot.
I'm not saying that this is a good conversation to have, because someone listening going, I want to help everybody, and they might come away for the session and go, I was fucking shite, man.
Or a lot of PTs are like, I only want to train, like you've got your niche now, right? But that's took 3.5 years to get there, right? New PTs are like, I've got a niche. I only want.
By the way, you do not have a niche.
No, I know, but I want to only train people that I want to train, and they've got a specific like personality. But it doesn't work like that. Because I had somebody come into me the other day.
So unique.
She was super quiet, and I was like, fuck, man, this is a wee bit awkward. Like, well, I was having to pull everything out of her. And halfway through, I was like, I don't want to train this person. And then with the mate, I was like, you know what? I'm thinking completely wrong here. I was like, this person needs my help more than most. That was how it actually was. And I just started getting more out of her. And it got to the point at the end there, I was like, you know what? I'm actually genuinely going to be able to help this person. Was she super motivated? Is she going to super smash it straight away? The answer is no. Right?
But she showed up.
But at the end of the day, if you actually, whatever you think your job's going to be, if it's to genuinely help people, you're going to have some uncomfortable conversations. Now, if they're training with you and they're a cunt, and get the fuck out.
It's seven boundaries.
See, when I'm talking about helping people, I'm more talking about people that are like rude. Do you know what I mean? I've had people. But when I don't take people on, it's mostly people that I've had a bad vibe of, as in they're a bad person. It's not like if they're a good person, but I think there's so much shit going on, I would still take them on. It's when I think like they've maybe been late, they've maybe said one or two things to me that I think's a bit rude, and I'm like, I'm not putting up with that. Like, I'm signing up for that person to be rude to me. I can tell straight away. It's more stuff like that I've turned away. People that I know that are just going to want to complain. That's the type of people I would turn away. What were you saying there?
Like, you're going to have some people who come into you who are super nervous, who super struggle.
I like working with those people.
Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people are like, why the fuck are they not doing what I've told them? That's where people as a coach need to go, look, whoa, this person's way behind most people that actually come in here. You get people who come in who are ready, motivated, but just don't have a clue. You have people who come in who are shite fear, who don't know how to do fuck all, and that fear holds them back for doing so many things. Yeah. They might have a lot of other things going on, but at the end of the day, you can help them, but they might not see the progress that you would think they would see. And that's all right. And sometimes as a coach, you need to take that back and go, right, this person, like a lot of coaches go like results driven, right? And like getting results is fucking class. But if MD's listening, you're like, I see one of my clients not getting the results that I thought they would have got, then it's probably a little bit on you to see what you can do, whether you either accept that that's the progress they're going to make at the moment, or motivate them a little bit more, give them a little bit more help, or maybe they're not right for you.
I think the results
as well.
I think the results mindset is one of the most toxic things that holds PTs back. Looking at what other PT, because PTs only post their best clients. So I remember my first 2 years always having this expectation, or always feeling like I'm not doing enough.
Where the fuck are they?
Where's my client that's lost 2 stone in 8 weeks and kept it off? Do you know what I mean? You feel like everybody's getting better, but nobody's honest about, right, man, maybe
see every other client,
one in 3 clients hit it off, like hit the ground running, they do really well. Then 2 out of 3 your clients, it's all like quite a struggle with. But that's most people who go to a PT, it is going to be a struggle with, because they've got all sorts of obstacles. Otherwise, they wouldn't need a PT. So like most of your clients, they don't like. If you were to put them up, this is why I don't put people on less calories straight away, because they won't be able to stick to it, because they've got a bad relationship with food, and you need to come at it from the opposite way, and you need to be telling them straight away, look, this might even take you 6 months to really actually get into a routine, get the habits built, know what's going on with food. Some people might not have a fucking clue what's in their food, and it might be a whole educational process. And that might, people are on like a spectrum, right? And some people start here. There's nothing I could do to get that person to like be in ridiculous shape in 12 weeks. There's nothing. So like having that like, oh, I need to get this person results can hold you back, I think, especially if you look at what other people, and like results, someone having a better relationship with food in 12 weeks and being able to squat by the end of it, for me, that's a result. And they'll continue to get better results. I've given them a platform to actually get results for the rest of their life. Do you know what I mean? Aye. It's the way you frame that. And the niche thing before, so when you said it took me 3.5 years to get a niche, this is going to sound gimpy, right? But I didn't choose my niche.
No, I know. But
like my niche is...
My niche chose me.
no, but it's I've like niched down to like who I was attracting by just being me. So that's the people that come to me that I've decided to work with.
That's how it goes. Like that's how you end up with your niche.
I thought I was going to work with mostly men who were overweight and insecure, like really overweight, because that's where I came from. That's what I thought I was going to get, because I was like, right, so surely where I was is who I'm going to work with. But no, it turned out I was going to work with mostly women between 20 and 50 who probably have come from dieting backgrounds, which is most PTing, but also I now make sure that it's people that are willing to lift, not people that want to lose weight. So people know that before. And that's how I've ended up there. And that'll evolve
as well. Like that's the whole part of your journey. It constantly grows and grows. Like it will just keep changing and it'll refine and refine. But it doesn't mean you don't need branch down to like, oh, I have to have people named George over 35. That's the only guys I can train. Like
the worst part is when people have that in their bios. I only train with successful single parents. I'm like, what are you on about?
If any guys out there are listening and you go, I think if you start branching down to guys only, there's no that many guys who want PT.
You've just literally like cancelled out
75.
So you make it harder for yourself. It doesn't mean you can't though as well, because I think some
you need
people
to be really busy. See if your books aren't full and you've went down into this very specific niche.
But even like is your content geared towards that person? Like everything needs to revolve around that. So what we were that was wrapping up the assessments. So you should believe in that whole assessment, and you are you've got your personality. You've got your personality across. You're becoming a wee bit more likable to the person. And more importantly, they trust you. Like selling, yes, it's shitty, but it is a skill you need to learn. You need to learn the skill, and the way that you learn that skill, you can go on a sales course, or you can expose yourself to rejection. And tell you one thing, rejection has been the best learning curve for me. So I'm like, oh wow, I spouted too much shite there. I can see why they said no. Not being disheartened with it. Like you're a wee bit, the very first time you pitch it and you're like, right, I've discounted it, I've made it fucking so cheap, it's a no-brainer. I am the person that's going to help their health and fitness. And they go, nah, it's just not for me then. You're like, you fucking bitch. Like, you're like, can't believe you've not seen the value.
Because you went in it completely wrong.
and it's the wrong mindset to have. You need to step back and go, right, reassess. And Shannon said she records hers, any kind of sales conversation she has, which I think is actually pretty good to look back, because you get so caught up and you're like, what did I say again? And then you start structuring the frame of it.
Personally, I don't like that, because I just don't like a structure.
I don't think you should have a structure though. I think you should have a flow.
Aye.
What she's in so sales orientated though.
It's a different approach, but I actually like the,
because I would never be getting into the conversation she's getting into, if you know what I mean. Like how she'll be like cold DMing people probably.
No. It's just, she just means like when somebody goes, here, I want to work with you.
This is the call. This is the structure.
They jump on a call. So in the call, it's not that it's structured. She has a flow, but the main thing is that I like that she does is she records it. Doesn't matter how shit the structure is, how good it is. She has a recording of how she pitched that to someone. Because we all know podcasting, we're like, fucking nailed how I said that, and you listen to it back and you're like, could have said that.
Or you think you're speaking pure shite and you go, fuck, that was fucking...
I actually said that. Okay. So it goes both ways, but nothing's going to get you more confident in the sales thing, sales pitch, than after that assessment. Because
I think listening back to it's a good idea, but also I think, see, just by doing it over and over and over again without expecting to sell, I think you'll just get way better. I think listening to it will probably 2x you getting better.
I think expecting to sell is a good thing, because when you don't sell, you get nice and humbled, which you need. Do you get me? I don't think I think you'll ever go into it expecting not to sell. I think you'll go into it expecting to sell, and they'll go, I'm not really into this. Then that's when you learn.
I've never listened to sales calls back, right? But I listened to my podcast back, the first 40 episodes, and I think I got way better at podcasting, listening back, because I noticed when someone was about to say something interesting, I kept butting in, which I've done throughout this podcast, and I've still not really
That's
learned.
us.
This is the environment when the three of us have created.
When you're interviewing someone that you don't know,
want to get better at it.
Like it's more about getting the best out of them. So I kept on hearing me tell a pure shite story instead of listening to them. And I'd be like,
but that's you finding out who you are as a person. And once you know that tricks, it's like, hey, I'll not keep butting in here. Like, sorry, off you go.
I'm going to continue to that because I've got that story.
Need to tell that story. Sales is the reason. Like every single PT sucks at sales, because we're all doing this because we want to help people with their health and fitness. And then
are we all now, Dale?
Most of us, right? And then we've got this sales piece, which is absolutely vital to have if you're going to be running your own business, running your own personal training, solopreneur, or whatever you want to call it.
You need to make money.
But see, I'll talk about that in a sec. But see the sales bit. See, because most of us suck at it when we start. That's how these mentorships started. That's because it was all about, here, imagine you could charge 1,500 and you're like, I could never do that. And you don't realise that we all suck at the start. Every single person sucked at the start. Now, there's tricks of the trade and how you manage a conversation and all this sort of stuff. But you could pay X amount for all these different courses. Nothing's still going to beat you than getting on 100 sales calls and talking about yourself, talking about your product, because we all cringe a wee bit at the start. We're like, why should they give me money?
Aye.
But let's be honest, somebody will pay £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 on a kitchen. You're changing their life, and as soon as you get through to the value that you can give in that conversation gets easier and easier.
See, the better you get at that free session,
the better it becomes.
It all gets better. Aye. So like, if your free session gets 4 times better and you understand, right, I've assessed them, I've showed them they're better, I've spoke about what I can do to help them, I've gave them clear structures of what we're going to go through, that end conversation might be a piece of piss. Because the selling's been done and what you can do for them.
Aye. I think I said it before we were recording, but people will always buy from who they can trust and who they believe.
They already know what they're buying into before you even have to tell them at the end, because they've seen what you can offer them. They've went, right, he's just fixed and showed me how to fix my squat and showed me how to continue to get it better within an hour, and I've never been able to do that in my life.
Yeah, and people, like, I think the personal training stats is something like people will make a buying decision, like usually like 2 to 3 months with anything, but this was like a personal training thing. Like Pure Gym done the survey, so people are watching you for 2 to 3 months if you're on the gym floor on average before they're making a buying decision. So think about every interaction, every assessment you're doing. It's not just the person that you're doing the assessment with.
People watching.
It's everyone going to hear, what's he doing? Or what's she doing? That looks hella different.
A couple of weeks ago, a PT came up to me and they're like, what were you doing with that client? Was that a new client? And what were you doing with the squat with them? I was like, I was doing this. They're like, oh, that's actually really cool. I was like, that's how I would do every single starting squat. Like, that's how exactly what I would look at. That's what I would do before. And I'm like, oh, no, I like that. Do you know what I mean? So they were watching me as well. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, see when
PTs were watching you.
When I had PTs, but even when I'm in JD, mate, I'll have a laugh as well because that's me as well.
Nah, you want to get who you are. You're not just going, oh, suit and tie.
Aye. Because that's who I genuinely am. I had a conversation with Shan last night because she was like, when she's on videos, which I think we should speak about today as well, like your
content creation.
She was like, I just turned into a robot. And then she said something pure funny. And I was like, that should have been how you were talking that full video. Because that's who you are.
You need to imagine that you are talking to someone when you're talking to a camera. Imagine that's a person.
It's not even that. It's just like, just be who you are.
No, but that will help you do that. Do you get what I mean? Definitely. So like you're like, oh, I'm talking to a camera, I need to be this robot. No, you're talking to a person. Mm-hmm. So imagine she could imagine she's talking to you and she's trying to pitch something to you.
Well, that's why I was sitting here so she could feel like a bit calmer. I was like,
left with like 2 videos.
I was like,
I'm actually the opposite. I need people to be out of the room. So
I know. I was like, you sure you want me sitting here? She was like, aye. I was like, oh, okay. I just sat at my phone.
So your constant, your reputation and how credible you are as a coach is, it's not just the person you're doing the session with, it's everybody watching you as well. Something that not too many people think about. Like, you have a carry on, but you'll do it in your manner. I know it's not to the same extent of...
So I got 2 clients the other day, and I was like, how did you find me? And they were like, oh, such and such recommended a girl that I'd never trained in my life.
Aye, because you've now got your reputation at a point where somebody's asked, like, I'm thinking about a PT, I see this guy in the gym and he takes care, he's always walking around these clients.
So I got 2 clients for that, and I was like, so I've still to message that lassie saying thank you. Never trained her. I've actually never even spoke to her.
That's the power of your reputation.
That's
something that's
massive.
well underrated.
This is why it's such a fallacy that it's a inflated industry, or there's too many PTs. There's so many people that are being a PT but not actually like trying to be a good one.
Aye.
So like the moment you actually just spend 6 months trying to be a better PT, you'll instantly stand out. If you in 6 months you do 100 free sessions, you're in the top 5% of PTs. I know I've made up those numbers, but that's where I'd put you.
Yeah, because you've projected yourself forward, and you get so much more learning from the free framework that you've built out to do, for sure. But reputation was always the thing. I was like, right, let me just keep improving my reputation, because that's how I'll get referrals, that's how I'll get leads, that's how I'll get clients, and more importantly, that's how I'll actually make an impact on what I want to do.
And I know we'll get a lot of people that are like, their eyes are getting drawn to the whole building a social media following. They're probably like, you're full of shit, that's what you done at the start. But there's a reason I've fully moved away from like trying to grow a following and stuff, and I've got a better, like, I can't emphasize enough, I have a better business than what I did when I was growing tens of thousands of followers or whatever. And the way I want to get that message across as well is like all of these loads of these people that I know big followings, like say if it was my dad, or I had someone that I knew that was really struggling with their weight, these are the last people I would send these people to as a coach. Like, I wouldn't send them to their online apps, I wouldn't send them to their online coaching. I would get an in-person PT that I knew was really good. If I was going to pay my money to get coaching for someone, all of these like online coaches with big followings are the last people I would send them to.
This was a point I was actually going to bring up, which ties nicely into the online part. Online training's cool, but nothing like what separates online trainers from each other is the in-person experience that they can bring to the role. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a good trainer, like a good personal trainer first before you're an online coach, and you can branch off and you can have maybe a wee bit more freedom with your business. But as someone who's went from in-person PT and thinking, right, okay, I'll build the online part of my business, and then going, here, man, I fucking love training people. I'm starting to bring more training. Like, being a trainer and having in-person sessions is one of the most rewarding things that you don't quite get from online. Now,
don't get it at all.
Now, it does feel good, like 3 months in, and you're like, we've never actually had an in-person session, and they tick the boxes, and someone has this amazing transformation of building strength, no physical, just like you can still have the same transformations of wins of squatting better mobility, more resilience,
Just
all that
takes
sort of
longer,
stuff.
but you can do it.
Some people it works better for them because they've tried everything and they're confident in the gym. You're
You
just
need a
giving them your
structure.
framework, and that when they do that, you're like, oh, this is class. But I don't know, there's a buzz that you miss if you don't see someone. And
Big
that's
time.
how I do FaceTime calls, I do video calls, and I try and get as much interaction with a person because that's what we all crave and we all miss. Like
Big time.
community stuff is
aye, talking.
is the key to that.
You
So
were going to say something interesting, I feel, and then
With the trainer,
you
becoming a
looked
trainer.
at this, and then you went to sit, and then you went on.
No, it was about the trainer. Like, I was doing hearing different podcasts and different training and mentorships on becoming an online coach, and to me, nothing generally beats being a trainer. Like, see, so we were talking about the biggest frustration of being a personal trainer is you pick up a client and you're paying for sessions, and then there's a point in that one-to-one sessions where you get to 2 months in, 3 months in, and you're like,
We're just chatting.
we're just chatting now. And you then don't feel fulfilled, but you're like, I need
The money.
this 40 quid that
Aye, I
comes
need
in
this
on
money.
this session. But you should really be building your model to either phase up to a program or phase on to online coaching, because that person doesn't need to see you weekly anymore. They don't need to see you bi-weekly. You could change it bi-weekly, monthly, every 3 weeks. Like, you can literally be so custom with how you want your setup to be. And that's what I thought, okay, I'll jump everybody to online. I'll only take online clients. And then I'm talking to them and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And obviously the clientele I like to work with is like over 50s, over 60s. And I'm like, this is harder to do. I was like, I actually need to see you. I was like, do you fancy coming around to the gym? And then it got them in. I was like, that should be the framework that I'm training people. And I actually think most people would benefit from that. Now, I've got a few clients that, like, 2 or 3 of them that I've never done in-person training sessions with, or there was no requirement to do in-person training. But I've still said to them, here, if you want to come over to the gym, it'd be good to catch up and we just have a wee chit chat. And she's like, some of my clients say, can you look at my front squat? I was like, yep, looks good. They send demonstration videos in. But going back to the whole in-person bit, that should be everybody's personal training model, I generally think.
I'll be honest, like, see, after the first month or two, I don't think you need hour sessions. I genuinely think you don't need hour sessions. I do think they need the 15 minutes to warm up themselves. Do you know what I mean? But if
you've already showed them how to do that, though, you don't need to
so
be
they
there.
can come in 15 minutes early and warm up, but your time should be 45 minutes. And that means you've got 45 minutes of good quality session. I find the hour, when they're already at certain levels, too long. I genuinely do.
So the way I do it, like when I'm mostly online, like, and the program changes every 6 weeks. See, after 12 weeks, they usually have a pretty good base of everything, and then I'll start, because it's online, I don't get them to touch the deadlift. I can teach them a deadlift in person, like, pretty quickly, but I wait till they've done 12 weeks, and then see, when they come in, it'll just be like a deadlift session. They'll be like, I don't need to see you. I've maybe changed you've maybe went from tricep rope pull downs to skull crushers, but you can do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but the deadlift, I'll maybe be way easier if
The
we just do
deadlift
it
and the
for an
squat is
hour.
very hard to do an online program for.
Basically, well, online.
Depends on
pretty
their
fresh.
experience.
Aye,
If
if they're
they're
pretty
like
fresh
a
to training.
veteran of 5 years and they're like, here's a video of my form, and you're like, right, okay.
Just a couple of
Hand
things to
positions,
fix. Just
aye,
just a
Generally, with
couple.
deadlifting, I can take like fucking 10 weeks to teach someone online, because I say to them,
Squat
look,
bit by bit,
this
bit
is
by bit.
because I drill like cues into them, like over and over and over again next to them if I'm doing it in person with them, and I just go, here's the first part. Next week, second part, when I might have done all 10 in the
At one
session.
time, aye.
Yeah, and you can't.
No,
They
you
just
can't.
won't be able to do it.
That's where the hard bit comes in when it comes
So
to
it's
online.
like, right here, this is a 10-week process, but I could do it in an hour.
And that's
if
why
you're next
your
to me.
in-person sessions should just be focused around the big lifts.
Just form. Aye, so like,
That's it.
this is where I was.
It's no taking you through. That's what I say to new people when they come in now. All people, like, we still go through sessions because
Are you
You
show
know
them
what?
how to tricep rope pull down
they're-
once or twice, or like whatever, or bicep curl once or twice, and it's like, here, we don't need to
but
do
they're
that.
genuinely just what you struggling with form wise, or if they're brand new, you're showing them the form
Everything,
for everything.
yeah.
Then they come
aye.
to you and go, I don't know how to do this, right? That's all we're doing, right? But that takes a little bit of time to get used to, like, because everybody's doing hour sessions and that. Then you got
Get
to
caught,
know.
caught in the
Aye,
rope of
when
it.
you first start, I'm only a year and a half in, so I'm just coming at that. But when you go into a big gym, everybody's doing the same thing, and people are like, but they do that. But I'm no fucking. You can't do the same as every other PT because they're just coming in and doing the sessions.
Yeah, that was the biggest mistake I made. Like, I would map out a session for someone. We'd do it once, we'd do it twice, we'd do it 3 times, and then I just get into the habit where I'm like, okay, I'm now just generally just counting reps. And then I was worrying in myself because I'm like, never be a PT that just counts reps. So I'm like, we're doing calf raises. Now, there's only so many ways you can cue calf raises, right? Hold the squeeze, 2 seconds, good. Heels all the way down, right? Oh, your hips are swinging a wee bit. And I'm like, I'm literally just overemphasizing this for the sake of it.
You overcomplicate. 2 more! That's what you're doing.
And squeeze, all the blood's coming up.
And you start filling the gaps with little conversation that then bleeds away from how the training is.
So, who are you shagging?
So that's one of the things I look back at and is like, I wish I set a blended model up at the start where my clientele was like, here, look, you're with me, and this only comes from experience. I don't think anyone listening to this, you're going to need to go through the reps. Like, you need to go through this yourself, but the quicker you can understand it, what does that time frame look like for you? What does the structure look like? And then any client coming through, it's like, look, we can work together on a one-to-one basis for the next 3 months. But usually I'm finding that clients that I work with, about the 2-3 month mark, will start seeing you less frequent on a weekly basis because you don't need the cues, but you'll move to a more coaching format where we can look at a bird's eye view on your nutrition, your habits, your lifestyle factors, biofeedback, all these other things that you can start to tap into. You can't do that in the start.
The best way to word it, I think, is like you're moving away from you're doing a training session with people to you're teaching them how to use their program, and it's more like a workshop. So like you said, it starts one of the first things I say to people when they come in. I go, look, what kind of sessions have you done before? Were you in agony after? And I'm like, oh yeah, I came out and like I couldn't, like he had me doing all sorts. I couldn't feel my legs. I was sweating like fuck, and I go, right, I'm doing the opposite of that. This is a workshop to teach you how to use your program. So I'm expecting you
like that better, mate. Most people actually like that better.
I'm expecting you to leave that door feeling better, not absolutely fucked. And I've heard you say stuff like that, but that's why.
It's like if you are in agony and you're fucked the next day, that's telling me we've probably done a wee bit too much, but it's normal to feel that after the first session.
Do you want to hear something funny I done once? I can still remember this. Her name was Katrina. She was one of my in-person clients, and she was maybe like the 3rd person. But to be fair, I done this from the start, where I was like, this is a free session, but I'm not trying to like do like get you in bits or whatever. But I said to her, by the way, I'm not trying to fuck you really hard. And then I looked at her and like,
3 sessions over, right? Just let's never speak about this.
And she looked at me and I was like waiting to see if she would mention it, and she never mentioned it. And I was like, okay, remaining deadlines.
Thank the fucking Lord, man.
It would be more awkward if she went, why not?
I was mortified.
You make all these like
I'm so bad at being like, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, my speech goes straight away. Like I just go, all my words go back to front and all that. And I was just like, oh,
I don't think I've had 8 hours of sleep in a year.
My speech is horrendous when I've not slept.
How would you guys set up your online pricing model? Because I think that's everyone thinks like, oh fuck, like how do I transition to online?
So what are we gonna do? Online versus in person? We'll just.
So that's what we're basically talking about.
Aye, so we're gonna not do software because we're an hour and 15. So no, we're not going to touch on software really.
Wrap on the like
online
versus in person. So
on like what would I price it as? So you can do it in different ways, right? The more confident you get, you can maybe move to just doing monthly only. I think that's a better model if you can see that person in person. To do monthly, I think when it's fully online, whenever I've done fully online and you can go, here's a monthly model, you do get clients that aren't as willing to go for it, and because they've never met you in person, they're not sold on you yet, so they kind of just dip their toe in. So I do think that like doing 12 weeks and stuff like that, I've met plenty of people that could do monthly and it works for them. It never really worked for me as an online model, but I know it would be if I went here in person, I've met you, then you're doing it in person again, you can go monthly, and I know they'll stay on monthly and it'll be fine. So I always worked off 12 weekly, and I think a good way to do it is just start wherever you feel comfortable, and then whenever you've got like whatever amount of clients for you to live off, just even bumping up that 12 weekly price by £30, £40, £50, and then until you feel comfortable again, and that might be a year of you on the same price, and then you go, right, I feel comfortable again. I had like 30 quid to it. I started on, my first client was 200 quid for 12 weeks. Then after I got like 10, I went to 300. Then I went to 347 quite quickly. Stayed on 400 for like a year. Then I went to 500, and right now I'm 547. But also the thing I've done, and I always offer them 2 splits. That's like 50 quid more expensive or like 60 quid more expensive. And then, but the longer I've done it, the more I've came up with structures that have meant that I can handle more clients. So rather than it being about, right, my prices need to go sky high, I've went, right, but like, where do I maybe spend too much time? Or rather than it being like, I need to overcharge, because I don't feel comfortable with what I offer for it to be 300 quid a month, because I think that's too much for what I'm doing anyway. Like, also
beginners as well. Like, there's a niche of, there's no as if it's a performance athlete where you need to speak to them every single day of like, right, I need your RPE for that workout type thing.
So the way I coach is never going to be like a £300 a month service. Do you know what I mean? It just isn't, because that's not what I want to run. I could run a service that's like got all of these check-ins, and it's not worth the time. It's not what I want to do, and it's not what my clients need. So that's the way I've done it.
What's yours?
I'm more monthly now again. I used to do the 12 weeks, but I just prefer to have them on Stripe straight away, and I don't need to chase them up after 12 weeks. I set everybody's plans out for 12 weeks anyway. So I set out their habits, their workouts and nutrition for the next 12 weeks on the first call.
You're meeting all of these people in person, aren't you, really? How many people?
Trying to, So I've got
mostly the one.
Got a couple that are further away, but I just say, look, I set everything up in 12 weeks. It's a pay monthly thing. But the first, I'm not going to cancel your subscription after the first 12 weeks. And any time after that, you just give me a week's notice.
By the way, after the 12 weeks, they go to rolling monthly with me. And I'm speaking about that from the start, if you know what I mean. I'm like, this is a 12-week block, but most people work with me for anywhere between a year and a half, is what I usually say. And that's the truth. Like, I do have people that, the odd 1 in 10 people just do the 12 weeks and leave.
I just hate the payment side, mate. So I would have to charge the upfront fee and then go, and then...
I'm sure there's a way. I mean, have a look at that. I think there is
a way for what?
Stripe to charge a lump sum at the start, and then in 12 weeks bill monthly. So you don't need to get payment details.
There is.
Is there?
You can schedule when the subscription starts.
Is it?
And all you could, when they start, you could just type into Google what's 12 weeks from now and schedule it for that day.
Right. Do they need to put their bank details in again?
No, they can use the same card on Stripe.
Right.
Just the problem is the amount of fucking people that lose their cards.
Yeah.
That does my tits in, by the way. I've lost my card. Oh, for fuck's sake.
I've not even actually checked that.
Mate, you should check.
Outstanding payments for 5 months. Mate,
you'll be losing money. I've lost loads of money doing that.
This will probably be the part 3 where it is actual systems processing, all this sort of back end stuff. What I was thinking about with in-person visa online sort of stuff. If I'm
what are your prices before you?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, if I'm listening to this and I'm a trainer just now and I'm like in a gym, I would actually, if I'm back to that environment, I'm doing a model that is, look, the first 8 to 12 weeks, there'll be I would price it with 2 different ways. So an 8-week model and a 12-week model, depending on their experience. And that's where we see me in person. And then after that, they go straight to an online model with the option of adding sessions. So I would say, like, flat rate of $150 a month. That's your online. That's the weekly structure, the habits, the program, nutrition check-ins, whatever it is that you're going to supply. But it's then going, look, if you're not comfortable at that point, I'm not just letting you go. Like, if you still want to see me, then you're going to pay per session, and your pay per session is whatever your 1-to-1 session rate is, whatever you're comfortable charging. So you're adding 30 quid onto that, 40 quid onto that, 50 quid. Me personally, I would make that at that point, speaking from experience.
Really expensive.
No, really, but a wee bit more expensive than your standard sessions to kind of make sure that they're getting the value, because I'd done that 1-to-1. I'd done the online, said, here, look, you can still see me. You just need to pay for a session. And people went, right, cool, I'm going to pay for that session. It's like, right, cool, no problem. And then I found, I was like, right, we're still not doing much in terms of the training. But for those individuals, they what I've worked out is they've got a deadline date of a wedding or an event coming up, and they're like, look, I just need to see you for accountability. And I'm fine with that being there, but as long as they're aware of that's the model and that's the price and that's the cost, they're happy to pay that. So, like, everyone's going to be different with that sort of stuff, but I think that's a really good model to run at a monthly rate. And all I'm doing is like, how many sessions do you think you want to use this month? And you're like, can and this is where I'd maybe change it a wee bit more, because I've just went, right, I'll bill you per session, but I actually might do a 5 block, a 10 block, and a 20 block, and just have a one-off payment that gets paid, Deb, or
you can schedule them all in.
You can do Stripe, paying free, Trainerize with the app that we use. You can actually do, like, they can use a ticket. So every time you book a session, one less comes off their ticket. So that's what I'm probably going to do going forward, a 5-pack, a 10-pack, and a 20-pack, just for the online people, if they still want to see us. Then, and how I'll structure that is the 5 will be, I don't know, 85 quid per session. The 10 will be 70 quid per session, and the 20 would be 50 odd quid per session. Like, that's how I'll structure it for my online going forward.
Well, I've told you this a few times. I'm going to do it. It's like I'm going to build out a full year, like, and it's going to be round the beginners and it being learning to lift, and I'll make adjustments as I go with people, because some people still can't back squat after like 12 weeks or whatever. So I'm going away and I'm going to do, that's why I booked an Airbnb, so I can go and actually, that's my only task for going there, is like going building out that year worth of program, really thinking about everything.
Bill Gates, yeah. That's what Bill Gates does.
Is that what he does, eh?
He goes to a cabin, no internet, no nothing.
Yeah, I've done it like 3 times. It's class, because I'll never be able to do it in here. I'll just end up doing my usual work.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll make a podcast clip, I'll reply to clients.
You're picking a location, you're like, I'm doing this at this location. It's like a time.
So I'm going to come up with like a whole structure in here, like, right, so they'll maybe see me this amount of times or whatever, and framing it that way as well. I really want to work a lot more locally and have people that are local than online, because you do kind of realise it's a whole, why do we have this dream that we need that, like, online Canadian and Australian clients? I've got an American and Australian client, but like, why is it like, oh, that I need clients that live in Singapore?
I don't know, it feels good. Don't know why.
But it doesn't.
No, it does.
Why?
It does. I don't know. Okay.
Mr. Worldwide.
For you, it maybe does, but like,
Mr. Worldwide.
Why? It doesn't. It's just a client like anyone else.
No, it feels good that somebody in another country has went, I would rather work with him than everybody else local.
Oh, your ego.
I have some percent.
My ego doesn't get in for that. Just
I
because
don't
I would.
It could be aspirations of like if you want the freedom, like some coaches do, like they travel and here sounds pretty good.
You can have a fully
walk
online
until you try it.
business of people that are from your local area without ever doing Instagram, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be like, oh, I need it to be around the full world.
No, they came to me, and I think, look, at the end of the day, ego or no, somebody's chose halfway around the world to work with me. That's fucking good.
The reason
me.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? It's not even like, oh yes, that's somebody.
I'm more
it's like
think of it
fucking
as
somebody's
like,
actually picked me.
I would
every day.
rather they're closer so that I can see them in person.
Aye.
Aye, that's what I mean. Because you're making the judgment. Am I prepared to put in the work and the effort of what it's going to take to never see this person, never actually interact, never actually see them in a one-to-one and try and train them? Because let's be honest, that's harder. It's unbelievably harder.
If all your clients are all people and like, I want to do things that are in, I do everything based off my personality as well. That's why I've never done a Zoom podcast. That's why I work out at a gym and not in the house. Do you know what I mean? It's my personality, and the more and more clients I have that I'll never meet, I'm always gonna have like 5 to 10. And by the way, I've got like Brenna that's like American that listens to your podcast as well. I've got Claire who's Australian. Got a few Irish like Grania and stuff. I've met a few of them though when I've been over in Ireland. But the more I have that are in person, the better my relationship is with them, and the more I can do like group stuff.
You can't.
So like,
I don't think you can beat it, but I think see if you go purely online, you'll work out a way of how to make that work for you.
Yeah.
So we know a ton of coaches who have a pretty good model that they've got. Doesn't mean it's any better or less than us, but it's what they want. It's like, right, cool, power to you, go for it. But for me, I like the in-person stuff, and I'll push that. If I get a couple of online clients that I have had in the past that are in America, like, and then they're starting to look up the States' fucking nutrient density of like the crap that they have, and that's too no complicated. It's just it's a lot of effort for what I'm getting in return for a client with that sort of stuff. And I feel for them, they're better to work with a coach that knows their area and knows their environment, because I'm not prepared to put in the learning for that. I'd rather keep to the client.
Like, it's also pointless learning. You don't live in America, so you knowing that.
I think understanding other cultures I've found that this year. I've had a a good few Muslim clients come aboard, and that's been quite eye-opening. And
That's
what I mean,
different,
like,
but they live here, and you're working with them in person as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, you haven't had to learn about another country, then that they're only in that country. Because then you would like, say like America, right? You probably only get like 10 American clients probably in your like career. Just say like that's what I'll maybe get. So me learning about like a random state all the time is like one-off information for this might come up twice. Again. But that's different. Like, you're working with Muslim clients that are here that are quite highly likely to refer you.
Yeah.
And like, you knowing more about their cultures are very...
You've got international... That referral could speed out there, but it's, again...
That's what I think.
Each to their own.
I think you could build... I think you can do it, like 100%.
No, but it's not what I want, that's what...
No,
that's
I
my
know,
point.
I know.
I wouldn't want that. I'd rather have it in person. Will we...
I've got... My client is coming in.
What are you doing with him?
I'll be doing an assessment.
Both getting on the ball. Right, so what did we cover? We covered so everything. We can listen to the end of this before the next one.
The only thing we need to kind of wrap things up with in this is software systems. Do you actually need to run ads? Do you need funnels? Do you need all this shit? Because that's where people get roped in and caught out.
These mentorships are like, you need this or you'll fail.
And the 3 years.
You need all these.
Like, what do you actually need to run a successful business?
What is your lead generator? Like, that's not that important when you're starting PT.
No.
Oh yeah, it's great, but you don't need to know these terms. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes,
I think
generating leads, but it's the way they have. It's like, oh, this is your blueprint to lead generating.
You need this. So I think what we should do, that'll be a good episode to actually break.
Because I know you're like, oh, you do need to generate leads. I know you do.
No,
but you don't need to know all these fucking fancy terms that they hook you in with.
But I think the importance of an email list and why to start thinking about building.
And maybe social media we'll touch on, because I do think like
social media is massive, mate.
Posting on social media, I also view as a tool of getting you better at talking about important subjects.
Everything.
Confidence.
Confidence. Yeah, social media is important. It's just the way people use it to get viral is a bit pointless sometimes. Right, we'll wrap it up there, and I'll do a quick intro. We'll just keep. Catch you after.
Bye.